down all the way.
Introduction?
Start
I don't mind going first.
Work our way down on introductions.
Do you guys want me to read off the disclaimer card?
Makes most sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, nobody's viewing yet, so.
My friend's saying waiting for it to pop up, so she is Toonies.
Excellent connection.
You gotta say that in the Siri voice,
It
though.
hasn't popped up yet.
Say
it again.
You have to say it in Siri voice.
I got the excellent connection. You are now connected.
You are now.
Oh wait, I got it. I can do it like a good Siri.
You got it.
I got it. Excellent connection. You are now connected.
Hello, Siri.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. It's good.
Good.
Welcome to being a medical delivery dispatcher. I have to have the best voice ever.
Wait, before I fuck up, what are everybody's pronouns again so I don't fuck up?
I'm they, them.
Maybe we should type it in the chat so we don't forget.
Good. Yeah.
Real quick, I'll make a chat.
And please remember your
The words.
to keep it G rated as much as possible. PG rated at the very
Let me
least.
mute Discord.
Family friendly, I mean.
Yeah, family friendly. Animus.
Animals.
Animals.
Wait.
All right.
I'm watching right now.
We've got
7
we've got
people
viewers.
watching.
Oh.
9 people.
Oh.
Connection established. Thank you for joining.
Really sweet.
That was good. That was good.
That was.
That was good. That was good.
I have been mistaken for a robot.
That type of voice is my family and I like. Are you a CG thingy?
Mute.
So shall we go down the line and let everybody introduce themselves?
Mike?
Yeah, I think this is a good time to do
Shall we go
introduction.
down the line and let everybody introduce themselves?
Yeah.
Why did it loop?
Oh, it just looped horribly. My bad. I ruined it. My bad. Grandma fucked up.
You're so.
Language.
You're good. Language.
Fudge. Fudge.
Fudge.
Everybody say it with me. Fudge. 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 Fudge.
Fudge.
Fudge cakes and sickles. You have to take that route.
Fudge cakes and sickles. Yes.
Fudge cakes and sickles. Yeah.
Oh dear. Fudge cakes and sickles. There we go.
And that's coming from me and knowing my mouth, but guys, this is a
15
the
watching.
Virgin Mary Billy live stream. This is the Virgin Mary Billy live stream, and we can't like go full Billy here because the live stream might get taken down. So we're gonna refrain. We're going to try to refrain.
Yep, we're gonna go.
I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Yeah, Navy Dad.
We are no longer,
We're going
Ms.
to
Van
try to
Trapp,
figure out a way to like live stream.
Just
and,
pretend you're in a Disney movie.
yeah,
Oh.
all the animals sing and talk, basically.
There you go. Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with our disclaimer. So this topic may deal with one specific aspect of one fandom, but reflects a wider issue of fandoms and television in general. And the opinions reflected here may have similar issues, but do not reflect the opinions of all antis within fandom itself. Please judge each individual based on what they say or are saying and are not the group. The following topics include child grooming, pedophilia, and general toxic behavior. We will be using code words for these as not to get taken down, but it does not lessen the impact of what we are saying. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Cute. Good voice.
Thank you.
Said I don't think I can be heard. I could be heard, yes.
In theory.
I'm hearing you.
You just
Okay, good.
Maybe bring up your volume, your in Discord volume. That might help.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't have Billy being unheard.
That
Heaven
would.
forbid I'm unheard. Heaven forbid.
Oh dear.
What? Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm at 100.
Then you're
My
good.
volume at? What's my volume at?
Also, Billy, do you want to go ahead and put the image up so that way there's like a visual representation of everybody here?
Yeah. Yes, I guess I will.
The cute portrait. The cute portrait.
Yes. Can people hear me on the stream? Can y'all hear me?
It's fine when we were doing the audio test.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a friend.
Ask a friend.
A friend.
I can kind of hear it on the stream right now. Yay.
So, I'm Ginger. I am the girl in green on the main couch next to Billy. Pass it up to whoever wants to introduce themselves next.
Ren, you go.
Oh.
Let's do it in order.
Oh, I didn't realize. I'm Leafy the wolf. I'm the pink kimono. Kitty ears.
I was about to say there's 2 pink kimonos. Well,
I'm the hot pink kimono.
one's in
I'm the hot
purple.
pink kimono. I'm the hot pink kimono.
Next. Okay.
Next.
Next.
I'm Billy. I'm in the middle. I am not a white guy.
If you had any doubts,
Just
Billy's
in
not white.
case there were any doubts that I was white.
Excuse all of you. We have the Billy Idol
The
on
Billy-
the stream
the
right now,
actual
live.
Billy
Here
Idol.
he is.
Don't have to
the
talk. You are
actual
quiet.
Billy-
You are a
Billy
bit
Idol.
quiet on the
Right
stream.
now.
Okay, I
Billy,
am.
you are a bit quiet on the stream.
Okay. Let's see what I can do.
Disclaimer: Billy is not actually a clone of Billy Idol.
Like literally.
Thanks, we needed that. I'll go next. I'm Lorna. I'm sitting next to Billy on the sofa. I'm the one with dark hair. Who's next?
I'll go. Hi, I'm Tui. I am the statue because I'm old. And I've been in the Inuyasha fandom since it originally aired on Adult Swim. And looking forward to talking about everything.
You actually that was professional.
That was more professional than.
Yeah, than what
Yeah,
we
then
did.
the rest of us.
Yeah.
I feel so
You're-
old.
We already got dislikes.
They're coming. They're coming. That's sad. I'm gonna like
Hold on, wait,
Just
they-
coming to ratio us.
I guess they're under the impression that this is actually staying up. I guess they're under the impression that this is.
I
actually,
guess.
well, I guess. I mean, who cares about the dislikes on it? To be honest,
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Anyways.
who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody
like, our
cares.
feelings are going to be hurt.
they seem they are under the impression that this is a
Ship war.
huge. Yeah, they're still under the impression that it's a ship war and that their opinions mean anything when they don't.
Well, damn.
Let's finish introducing
Isn't
ourselves.
that just
Sitting next to
Like Orochimaru is not an original Kardashian in the first place.
You all think Zing is kidding, but I was the one who made these Sims, and they were like, "Give me a dump truck behind, make Pixar jealous."
I like. I for one.
You're welcome.
I for one like how the Sims are made.
I do too.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
they're too.
them. I like the big chest area and the butt area.
And the area you were asking for yesterday as well.
Yes. Okay. So who's
Yes.
next?
we won't talk about?
That we won't
I'll
talk
go
about.
next.
Typically.
Oh yeah, the area. Okay, so I have to talk about it because I say it all the time. But I tried to on this sim get never mind. Skip it. Skip
Uh,
Go
it.
ahead, say it.
the
The
Yeah.
can I say can you say dick on live stream though? Can I say that?
can.
You said it. You said it.
Within context, I'm sure it's fine.
Well, you already said
I
it
was
now.
trying to enlarge my penor area. How about that?
You
Doors.
could have used like meat and 2 veg or like twig and berries.
Twig and berries. That doesn't
Pretty
sound
cool.
good at all. Okay.
I heard
Twig
it
and
once
berries.
in a Mike Myers film.
Twig. Oh yeah, that wasn't it Austin Powers?
Pickles and
Yes, it
eggs.
was.
Yeah, it was in Austin Powers.
Pickles and eggs.
Pickles and okay, who's next?
Lordy. It's
yes,
you.
hi.
You're the only-
I am Lordy Maru. I am next to Sing Store, and I am a hotter version of Sessrin.
Hey, way hotter, way hotter,
Yep.
Of course.
way hotter.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Agreed.
We apologize, but Kai was unable to make it due to being diagnosed with the dead. That is why they are a skeleton.
Kai straight melted at the thought of getting on stream, so Kai didn't make it. Didn't make it.
Yeah.
They just died. They just clapped out.
Disclaimer, not literally, but they're with us in spirit, and so that is why they are a skeleton.
All right, so
Whoopee. Well, shall we
Can I go
jump into our first topic?
Like,
So, what the
Should I
hell is our
go,
first topic?
Let's start with a bang, isn't it? Child bride Rin.
yes, it's Child Bride.
Yes,
Rin.
Child Rin.
Child Rin. So,
Mm.
if you weren't aware, there's this show called Yashime, and it's terrible, but it's it's
Going straight to the point.
it's terrible. It's trash. It's actually shit, but it's really it's not just the plot that makes it shit. I can't say it's not the plot that makes it bad.
Disney princess,
it's bad.
Billy.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So it's not just the plot that makes it bad. I mean that makes it bad too. But Ren is like 14, having children. In this show, and I guess we have to establish the timeline first to prove that she's
Mhm.
14 because I don't know, her age wasn't ambiguous before all of this, but now all of a sudden her age is ambiguous. So, do you guys want me to explain the timeline, or anybody want to cut in and explain the timeline?
You go ahead and explain the timeline, Billy, and then
Alrighty.
I'll follow up with why historically Rin would not have married at that age.
Okay, so
Yeah.
as a fandom, the consensus was that Ren was 8. I always thought she was 7 myself watching the show, but a
Looks
lot of
younger
people-
than 8,
I
but
mean, she looks younger.
6, 7.
6, 7, or 8. That's the. I mean, let's give her 8. Let's give her 8, right?
Yeah.
Let's just give
Okay.
her 8. So we assumed that she was probably 8, and then in the final act they had the 3-year time skip that made Ren 11 at the end of the final act. On the day that Kagome returned during the final act, Hisui was born. And we know now in Yashahime that Hisui is 18. So that means that 18 years have passed thus far from when Ren was 11. That makes her 29. Like, you don't have to use an outside timeline to know that she is 29. Let's not be stupid, right? She's 29. We know
Right.
this. There's no complicated math. You don't have to go into because for one, Inuyasha is not historically accurate. The studio has said it, the RT has said it. So you don't have to go into the BS about it being historically accurate. We know that's just not true. So don't try to apply a historically accurate timeline to it. But just basically, she's 29 in the tree. Is what the age she should be. So since she's 29 in the tree, that means that she gave birth like at 15.
Yeah.
Because the twins are 14. Because
Yeah.
14 plus 15
Yeah.
is 29. Again, Hisui is your timeline. He makes it easier. He makes it easy to figure out. That being said, that means that it takes 9 months to carry a baby. So more than likely, Ren has been having sex with Sesshomaru since 14.
13 even?
13,
13.
13,
But would it
14.
even be like sex?
You have
Because,
found the time that he was
age
wooing her.
imbalance.
Or
I
Yeah.
came up with more information in regards to this yesterday, and that will also I'll carry that into the age
That
of
is
marriage.
that is why
Japan.
we're here doing this stream, and it's a lot of fun. But we're also doing this stream because of that. She's 14, 14 and 13 having sex, and the problem is also that the first episode of Yashahime, Ren is shown to be a little girl again, actually. And it's only because in the Inuyasha, the manga, the since then manga, RT forgot, I guess, that she grew up and she put her back in her old clothes and actually made her smaller again. So it inherently like retconned her age. So that has nothing to do with really what we're talking about, but that's just something to note. When on episode 1, she's shown as a little girl again with the title card, "The Girl That Loves Us," adores Sesshomaru. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a
They
big
also
problem.
refer to her
Yeah.
as a girl throughout her entire any reference to her she's referred to as a girl. She's never given the proper terms for a woman. She's
See
the
it.
term in Japanese. It's usually just means young girl. In some cases, young woman. Like you can do teenager at best, but it's definitely not used for somebody over the age of like 20. So I mean, yeah.
But that is the
And-
reason why we're here. So someone else can take over.
So, and I was going to go into, some things to talk about in regards to when, Rin could have conceived or how soon she could have conceived. Something a lot of people don't know, and I only recently learned this fact, is that women did not menstruate as much as they do nowadays. It would actually be at most 3 or 4 times a year. So it's not like there's a good chance of conception with just one time like there is in the modern era. So for anyone who, is like, trying to apply, our standards, which in some cases there are people who ship Rin and Sesshomaru together, they try to apply those standards. It would have taken a lot more time to conceive back then. Which is why, despite, the belief that people married younger back then, there were not as many children. But speaking on like marriage and everything like that, I actually recently did a study of the age of marriage in feudal era Japan and trying to narrow down exactly what time frame, because those ages can change depending greatly on the timeline or on the time frame. And back to the whole, people try to justify it with saying, oh, people married younger back then, it's totally normal. Well, first things first, we actually need to determine about like what period of the feudal era we're dealing with, because we know Kagome goes back to the Sengoku Jidai or the feudal era, but that actually spans 3 different time periods in Japan. The Kamakura period, which is 1192 to 1333. Which is closer to the Heian period, which I've heard is what's referenced for the age of marriage. Then we've got the Moromocha period, which is 1338 to 1573. And lastly, the Azucha Momoyama period, which is 1573 to 1603. So where in this time frame does our cast fall in? Well, there's a few different clues given throughout the show. A Google search will just say Sengoku Jidai or the feudal era, because it's such a broad term. I'm just going to use when the manga came out as a starting base, because, the technologies are different and everything like that based on the manga versus the show. Well, using that as a starter base, 500 years, that would put Kagome somewhere near 1509 AD. Now that places her in the Muromachi period, but that's really more of a rough estimate, because, you can say it's been about 500 years and mean really maybe closer to about 450, something like that. So I looked at better ways to narrow it down. And one of the things I found was during the Band of Seven arc, we see soldiers with firearms. Now, the introduction of the firearms to Japan actually does have a recorded historical date, which is the year 1543. And you can see that is a huge, jump from the 1509 AD. And they definitely became more prominent during the Azuchi Momoyama period. Now, we can actually narrow it down closer to the end of the Azuchi Momoyama period because of an episode early on that features a young man named Amari Nobunaga, who Kagome mistook for Oda Nobunaga.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, Amari takes offense because he serves the Takeda clan. The Takeda clan and the Oda clan are at war. Now, they actually did not have territories closer until about the 1580s during the Sengoku Jidai, or the Azuchi Momoyama period. And Kagome mistook Nobunaga Amari for Oda Nobunaga, which means Kagome thoroughly believed she is in a period of time, or at least within a year, where she could physically meet one of the great unifiers of Japan, which would have ended the feudal era. So she is definitely closer to the 1600s than the Heian period, which is what I've heard is referenced. So she is very much at the very tail end of the Azuchi Momoyama period, closer to the Edo period. Now, trying to find out information for the Azuchi Momoyama period that isn't military recorded is a nightmare. You can't really find anything. You can't even find music. All I could find was because I was trying to look up the culture, I couldn't even find the name of songs. The earliest recorded song I could find for Japan was from the Meiji period, which is after the Edo period. But that's going down to a different track. So I'm going to get back on track here. Now, I found a paper from Princeton University that actually looked at the age of consent in marriage during the Edo period, which does go back to the early 1600s as well, which is much closer to where Kagome would be. So this would be about the age range of when, the twins would have been born. Kagome and Inuyasha would have married and everything like that. The age of consent cited in the Princeton paper was between the ages of 16 and 25. Now, 16 was on the much lower end of the average, but it falls within the average. Now, so even based on the information we have, whereas Ren conceiving at 14 still would have been 2 years too young, even by those standards.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Wow.
16 is still the questionable age. You know how nowadays people question when people get married right at the age of 18 and you're a little too young. That's about what 16 was for that time. Looking at a book by Susan B. Hanley's Fertility, Mortality, and Life Expectancy in Pre-Modern Japan cites that the actual age of childbirth for women around that time was 22. So it would be more common to get married around 20 versus 16. That's just the lower.
Oh my god.
Wow.
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 So for anyone who tries to argue the historical, that's how it was back then.
No, it wasn't, stupid. It wasn't. Shut up.
It was not.
It was not. Shut up. Shut up. It was.
I'd like to actually interject on that. They are imposing Eurocentric historical values onto
they are, right?
They are,
because that is because Europe was a country. Euro values was where marry young, because life expectancy was so small during that time period. So historic is Eurocentric values, but they're applying Euro monarch-centric values.
Yes.
Peasants and such at that time period, they didn't really have the whole marry them young. It was very much work taken out of any sort of, very few of them even were educated at this time period. They would be taken out of whatever education that they were given, if it was just their mother teaching them certain words, or even the remotest of education within whatever their village was, they would be taken out to work in the field. So that's something I'd like to just interject on via historical value, is that
Tui, You're cutting
Yes.
out. It's according to the viewer. You're cutting out on the stream. Your voice is cutting out.
Oh, is it? Sorry, it's a.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
But
Yeah.
for anyone who couldn't,
Yeah, we hear you clear.
It may be. Check your
what
audio,
two-
person. Sorry.
oh, everyone else can hear Tui on the stream. Then never mind. I'm just gonna be quiet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was no. I agree with you. That was a very Eurocentric thing, especially among like monarchs, where they arranged, and also these weren't like love marriages; they were political marriages, and they were arranged long before children were of age. A good example of that would actually be Catherine of Aragorn and Henry's older brother, actually, because Henry VIII inherited the throne when his brother died. That marriage was arranged when they were children, and then they just when they were adults. Keyword when they were adults.
Yeah, there's even some instances of like somebody's even pregnant and they're promised to like marry somebody else like while they're pregnant, even though this person could be in their like 30s or 40s. It's a very strategic move, typically for land and territory, because I mean, implicitly these people knew. Sorry to interject, but implicitly these people knew that, you know, if you marry somebody young, they're essentially under your thumb. Like, you don't have to worry about them, like, you know, trying to take over your land, trying to, you know, steal your throne, because you're already in their fire. That's why a lot of Europeans, especially, you know, in the monarchy ages, married, like, had these wild differences in ages, was specifically because of the tactic of manipulation and the ability to do this, because they knew it was easier to manipulate a child than an actual grown adult person. And that's essentially, yeah.
Yep.
So it's strategic. It's not for love or anything like that.
Yeah, and Rin doesn't have lands and territories.
No, she
so
does not.
I mean, like,
yeah. No, she does
she
not.
doesn't even have her own hut.
She doesn't even have shoes.
No shoes.
She doesn't even have shoes. He likes her so much, but he didn't give her shoes. Okay.
And okay, also,
Okay.
I mean, he likes her so much. He left her with her grandma.
yeah. Also, how we all like, you know, we always say that. Oh, I had a point, and then I. What was it?
Can I just say they're always going on about historical accuracy, and then they're always saying that Rin is like malnourished and I don't know, she had stunted growth. So wouldn't she have died
During
before?
childbirth?
Probably.
Like, rather than she's
Theoretically.
For going by
was pregnant with
physical
these demon
development,
twins. Like,
I
she would totally have died.
if we're going to apply physical child development, Rin would have not even survived a single child.
To twins. And this is my thing. You can't say this is historically accurate, but this part is not historically accurate. You can't do that. Like, it has to be historic. If you want to be stupid and like want to apply the historically accurate argument, even though they've already said none of it is historically accurate. I'm not sure what's historically accurate about demons and dragons, but if you want to say it's historically accurate, go right ahead. But you can't say this part is, but this part is not.
Yeah, you can't cherry pick.
Yeah.
It's historically accurate.
Another thing I don't
either
get
it is or
like,
it's not.
like another thing I don't.
Can I
get is
interject as a
when
writer
they-
person thing? Oh, do you want to go, G?
Okay, like whenever these people say, "Oh, this is historically accurate," this and this, it's always more often than not like shipping little girls with grown adults.
Yes,
Like-
only then.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
It's only
yes,
then
only
it's
then.
historically
That's what it's all
accurate, even
about.
then they're wrong. But when there's any other stuff that will like prove that no, that's not the case. Here's the actual historical facts. They're liars apparently.
Actually, why like I got all this information together, and also like for any, you know, how we always say like Kagome, Kaede, Sango, none of them would have been okay with this. They would not have been okay with this. I don't know.
No.
They weren't okay with Moroku proposing to the 13-year-old, but all of a
Kahala.
sudden they're like,
They're okay with her.
him. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
okay with this. Like, not like get the. Let me shut up. Get out of here, okay? Just get out.
Yeah, that was one of the worst things about that scene. I'm gonna say, I think possibly the thing that made me feel like really sick, just seeing Sango and Kagome smiling, like they had these blank expressions, like these blank smiles.
They look like
with
soulless
Rin in the
dolls.
bed, and Sesshomaru was stealing her kids, and
He
I was just
stole
like,
her
why did you
children.
slaughter these characters?
He stole
What
her
I-
happened to them?
like
What
to interject
happened to them?
He went
The animation is just so bad.
He stole
I
her
chuckled through that whole scene. It
That
was
whole
so
scene-
funny.
That is the funniest episode in the entire of anything I've ever watched in my entire life. He walks in
Wow.
and just has the blankest expression.
like sit
I
down.
like
Nothing.
so
There's
He
nothing
literally
on
just
his
takes pictures
face.
and leaves. He's just
I'd
like,
like to
cool, thanks, bye.
Also,
I'd
let's
like
No, I
to
just remembered
interject.
something.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go.
I'd like to interject on somebody who was raised by two people who worked within child care services. That scene is so emotionally abusive. It is ridiculous. He never once acknowledges her
At all.
whatsoever. He does not. He speaks only to Kagome. And yeah, like, even though this is obviously an anime and like we're not supposed to be taking it at face value and whatnot, but the fact that they're trying to spin this as a romance and that he loves her and everything, while he never once speaks to her.
He does not like her. I'm trying to figure out where they get this like messed up image of love. He does not love her, and it's obvious. Like, where do they get this from? He loves her. Show me where.
I know
He
exactly where.
only
does he
addresses
love her?
Kagome. People. He interacts with people via if he finds value in them.
Yeah.
That has always been his characteristic.
If you are worth
He will
talking
interact
to,
with you.
yeah.
Yeah. So in that instance, Sesshomaru did not even value his so-called true love.
No,
He
remember,
speaks only-
remember, they had a psychic connection.
Oh, that's right. I forget
yeah.
about that. I did forget about that. Yeah.
They gazed into each other's souls.
The only
They
person in
gazed
that
into
room
each
that he
other's
didn't even acknowledge Kaede. He did not even acknowledge Kaede. He only spoke to Kagome because her value was that she was technically family. That was the only value he saw in that room. He took the children and then he fucked off.
Yeah.
And she's sobbing, saying that she trusts him. And I'm sitting there, and when they're like, "Oh, it was so romantic
so
and
romantic.
beautiful," I was like,
It
was
makes you
dumb.
wonder.
Yeah.
It honestly makes you wonder what kind of life these people live to think that that was beautiful. Like, what is going on in your world where
I
that's
do
beautiful?
wonder. I do wonder.
I wonder what is going on in your world where that was beautiful. Like, what kind of fucked up childhood did you have that's just so great? Like, I don't get it. I don't get
Can
it.
I throw in a thing about child grooming here? Child grooming.
yes, that's why I
Yeah,
said that it was
she doesn't even
emotionally
have-
abusive.
Yeah, like
This
she doesn't
is
even
the one that
consider her.
I
Her
trust
opinion.
Lord
Line section.
Sesshomaru. It's
can I,
basically
like,
he focuses on his opinion before everything else. But
Like,
that's
he
the
doesn't
groomer's
even-
aim.
That makes you.
They
That makes you the worst type. And they want Rin to be an adult so badly without realizing the more you age her
no,
up, the
they
worse
don't want
she
her to be an
looks.
adult at all.
Well, they
They
don't
don't want
but
her
I'm
to
just
be-
saying.
Look
I'm just,
smaller when they
no,
try
not
to
them.
age her
I'm
up.
talking
How is
about
that
people who
possible?
are for
Oh,
Sesshomaru
yeah,
and Rin.
yeah.
The people for Sesshomaru, they want her to be an adult so badly without realizing the more you age her up, the worse this looks. So you mean to tell me she has agency and she was an adult and she let not her husband, because they haven't called Rin the wife. Let's get that clear. But you're gonna let your baby daddy steal your children and not say anything but I trust you? Like, what kind of mother are you if she's an adult? I mean, that's what they're
Let's
arguing.
pop in.
Yes.
That's what they're arguing.
And the fact
All right,
You're a terrible mother.
let's continue on to our next section, which very much follows. Really, really hates women.
They
A
hate
lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
Like the way they did Sango, please, just Miroku's wife.
Oh my god.
She's just a wife.
Oh yeah, that was her title card, Miroku's wife, wasn't it?
She's such
No,
a-
she's not that great
the
demon slayer
strongest
anymore.
woman
She's just
I've
somebody's
known.
wife.
She was the most powerful one. She carried that giant boomerang with the Druid Eve. She literally dug herself out of her own grave.
She literally.
I've been through all this. And she's just a wife.
That makes mask. Don't forget she makes
That's
mask.
all.
Don't forget.
Yes.
She makes mask. Oh my god.
As an older fan, can I interject here and bring out where it absolutely just destroys the original show?
Yes.
Please,
Okay.
please do.
I
Sure.
recently did a rewatch up to Kagura's introduction. I need to get back to it, but work. However, the disrespect to Kagome was like the biggest. Just what are you doing? In my opinion, the staff on the show do not seem to understand that Kagome was the true like hero to the people around. Outside of Naraku in the main village, nobody knew who Kikyo was. Nobody knew her. That's why she was able to settle in a village for a while before she scared the young girl that she had befriended and thought of her much in the same sense she thought of Kaede. And that girl recoiled upon seeing that Kikyo is actually a demon. And the priest that would pursue her, finding out that she was a possessed soul, they did not know who Kikyo was. They had no idea. All they knew is that she was a priestess. Her all they knew. Kagome was the true hero in Inuyasha via the priestess aspect. She did all of that, and Yashahime has random demons who have like really no backstory or anything, being like, "What? Kikyo's reincarnation?" It's like, how do you know who the hell Kikyo is?
These are
How do you know?
If they really hate Kagome, the point is, I think they just want to crap on her.
They really do.
I really do, yeah.
They really do.
Yeah, they
Yeah, I mean, like, I love Kikyo. Don't get me wrong, but it's so interesting to me. I think it's more or less simply because Kagome, throughout the entirety of the Inuyasha show, has very formulated opinions. Like, she's a character, you know what I mean? She's a fully fledged out character with her own opinions, her own ideas. Yeah, and they just strip that all away from her for the sake of what, really? And they just put her back into, like, the whole point of her character arc was also outgrowing the shadow of Kikyo. She was becoming her own person. Inuyasha, she was loving her for her and not just looking through her and seeing Kikyo. That was the whole point. And Kikyo's whole thing was kind of separating herself from both Inuyasha and Kagome so she could find peace in the end. And in a weird way, it negates both of their character growths by just putting them back together as a sole unit, when in reality they are separate characters. Yeah, they're reincarnations, but that was addressed in Inuyasha. We don't need to see that. It negates the point of both of their character arcs, and it shits on both of the women so much that it's like, okay, well, what's the point of that? Because Kagome is not doing anything. Oh, yeah.
If I could continue on to Sango and Kohaku, I'd like to discuss the fact that not only did they just have absolute, just complete and total disrespect for poor Sango, but the fact that they had a horrible take on toxic masculinity via Kohaku, who the entire show predicated on the fact that he was not cut out to be a demon slayer. His entire story was that he was just too gentle, too sweet. That was his entire thing. He was just a very sweet boy who just did not have the heart to do what he did. He was absolutely devastated by what he did when he killed his fellow demon slayers and his father. And he was crying out for Sango to save him. And she laments to the group later on that my brother was never meant for this. They threw out his entire story to be like, oh no, he's the totally bad dude of the demon slayers.
I think that was Sunrise's fault, because at the end of the final
act, no, that's what I'm saying. That they took that.
Well, in the final act is their fault. And in the final act, because in the final act he gets a new weapon from Totosai, like he's now all of a sudden all for killing demons. He wasn't before, but now he is. I think that's a Sunrise thing. I think they just that's a Sunrise thing.
Yeah, so I've noticed that in the anime they change up like some of the things from the original manga Academic was.
And that's what I'm
kind of
saying.
like
I think that was one of those
Yeah.
things with Kohaku.
Can we also talk about the fact that Kikyo herself has been just completely downgraded? She's the tree spirit for
she's not
like
she's not even in it. She's just a tree. The tree just looks like her.
yeah, like she's been like they can't let this poor woman just like Kikyo's leaving
Like, I don't want her to die.
when Kikyo was when she passed on and actually fully let go, it was very much framed as a beautiful thing that she let go, that she was able to move on. And Sunrise comes out here and be like, nah, tree spirit now, because we can't.
Nah, bitch. Nah, you back. You back. Nah, you back. You back.
Yeah,
you
so
back.
it was like,
You back.
and also the disrespect to Kaede. I would really like to talk about that. Kaede was not dumb.
Yeah,
and like
she did not have
Sunrise,
dementia. She did not have dementia.
No dementia.
first of all,
No
Kaede
dementia.
should not be alive right now. It's been over 50 years. Like Kaede should not be alive right now. For first of all,
For one.
Yeah.
but
Historical
the absolute
accuracy.
disrespect to her, like you could tell that this script was written on the fly. The script was absolutely being like debated between a few like people because heck your mom is. I don't know. Something happened. Oh, by the way, you're Rin's kid. You're kind like her. She disappeared, but you know,
Like,
she disappeared.
Oh well.
Like Kaede wasn't.
I don't know where she is.
Yeah, like
F in the chat.
they just did not give her like they took away any agency she had. She did not have that much agency, but she was very much the wise old woman that you would go to and she would give them exposition and whatnot, but they took all that away and they kept flip-flopping between her being in a Katy Perry song, like she's hot and cold, like they don't know, she's over here doing this and then she's over here doing that. Apparently Rin, after giving birth, like, and that's something else I'd like to talk upon. Like they go the shippers themselves, they go on about how much Sesshomaru loves her and everything, and he left her with Kaede, who when she disappeared was like
your mom dead.
That's weird.
Like, too bad.
That's weird.
What happened?
She woke up, she was like,
can I
oh, she
interject
gone,
with
and then went
something?
back to sleep.
Like with a piece with them when she like disappeared, like out of Kaede's home. There should have been like a search party or something, cause like
nobody like cared. They were just all like
Nobody did.
I remember like she is
all the
under
time.
the protection of like Lord Sesshomaru, and like if they didn't know that he took her, but like, if she went away, there would have been like alarm bells, like, hey, this little girl that's like under the protection of one of the most powerful demons on the rest of the land is missing. We're gonna die if she's not found.
They're like,
Yeah.
they're like, your mom dead. Ha ha.
yeah, and
Back
if we can go ahead.
I was going to say, back to the disservice to Kaede. You know, back in the original series, Kaede was a very kind and compassionate soul.
Yes.
Even though she fully believed that Inuyasha killed Kikyo. She fully believed that. Once he was freed, she took care of him, explained everything that happened. She saw him as family, and Inuyasha saw her as family too, and cared about her as well. And so just her not caring at all about the disappearance of the people she called family. It's unbelievable.
And
it's
Kaede was always the person that informed the audience of what was going on. She was like Moroku. She was the storyteller. She would tell you what's what. And they completely changed her role in this. Now she's just as clueless as we are watching this bullshit. And it's like, what? Okay, I guess Kaede is not
the original
Kaede.
series, she took care of the kids. Like, you remember that scene where Kagome is trying to like see Inuyasha's wound, and she turned the kids away so they don't get like that image. But she's fine with Ren getting
raped
like
at 14.
yeah, but she's fine with that. But like,
Yeah.
what?
So I'd like to move into how this disrespect applies to newer characters such as Zero.
We forgot about Sesshomaru's mom. They have
I mean,
not
I don't
given her a
know
name.
if we could
They have not even named the lady. Come on.
Well, I think that might be because
What about
Rumiko
name?
hasn't named her. I think that might be because Rumiko hasn't named her, and unless it's a original character, I don't think Sunrise can do that. They own the Inuyasha IP, but she still owns like the characters and whatnot. So I don't think that was quite on them.
Guys, I wouldn't
They
want
gave
them.
Koga
I
a
wouldn't want
name.
Sunrise to give her a name. They called Zero. I mean,
Yeah, that
what
makes
a
no
crappy
sense.
name is that?
With a crappy
makes no
design.
sense.
But
And then
Well,
Yeah.
the thing that I'd like to talk about with Zero is how the show tried its hardest to imply that, oh, she was the mastermind. She's the one thinking everything out. And then they were like, oh, no, she cried because he didn't want her.
let's
Like,
Yeah, that was pathetic.
let's
Oh God, that is so
Hey.
sexist. I hate that so much.
hey guys. So like since we're not like talking over each other, do you guys want to go like in order of who is in the
Oh,
general-
sorry. The message meant for my brothers. They're all
Oh.
over the place.
Oh.
Not you guys. You guys are good.
Okay, I was about to say uh-oh. Okay.
Cause like I told them I'm gonna
Do
stream.
you
and they
want me
won't
to
be
mod
doing
this
it.
chat because I seem to have the loudest voice? So, do you want me to like mod and go, you talk or you talk?
Yeah, we might have to. Well, we've also been on this one for a minute. We probably need to move on.
Yeah.
We've been on this
Yeah.
one for a while.
Why don't we move into early childhood development? Because we keep mentioning, Rin's agency or lack thereof. And I think we really need to stress, how
Oh, do you want me to
incapable-
pop off?
My field of expertise, child development.
So that means I need to
All
shut up
right,
and
you-
let you guys go
well,
for it.
The last thing.
Me and Leafy got this because this is our department. Go, Leafy, you first.
So, what topic should I? So, what do you want me to start going into with the development? Because there's a lot.
I would say start at Rin.
Rin.
Yeah, start at Rin, and then I'm gonna work my way to like because people are dumb.
People are-
Physically.
So I'm gonna kind
People
of
Yes.
stray
are
away.
idiots, right? So go
Mhm.
for it.
Yeah. So
Rin,
you focus on Rin, and I'll.
according to the book, to an info book I found, it says Rin is 8 years old. If we're going by actual physical development, I honestly put her at 6 years old. She is way too tiny for me to even put her anywhere close to 8.
Remember, she's malnourished.
Yes, she's malnourished.
Right, she's malnourished. Remember?
Her physical, her emotional behavior also doesn't even scream 8-year-old. That screams,
6.
I'm gonna hate to say it, like a 5-year-old. Her emotional behavior screams that. I'm just like, this cannot be an 8-year-old. The way she follows Lord Sesshomaru around. Sesshomaru tells her, hey, be quiet. Okay.
Right.
Please don't scream. Okay. Follow me. Okay. That just, and then you go from this little gremlin screaming, okay, Lord Sesshomaru, to his baby mom? No, the grooming had to have started young, and if we're going to say, if anyone says Yashahime is canon, then you also have to say Lord Sesshomaru was grooming Rin through Inuyasha.
Yeah, because most
Well.
people ignore, like, oh, it was, like, when they try to go to the time and whatever. And, like, that's already a mess of itself. And we're wondering, when did the attraction start? That's the
Would
problem.
have had to have started, unfortunately, in Inuyasha. Then you have these shippers that are all like, oh, look at the look he's giving his future wife. Oh, so you're saying he was
Looking at her
interested
back
in
then
her
at 6.
Yeah.
Thank you.
at 6.
Thanks.
You were
thanks.
saying you're looking at a 6-year-old in a romantic light and you're grooming her.
But I'm the asshole
Now-
for telling you that you're the asshole. Continue.
Oh,
Continue.
God.
That gets more and more terrifying because in real life, that actually does happen. More often, you see teachers doing this, you see parents, aunts, uncles doing this, sexually grooming a child.
And it gets defended.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
it gets defended all the time. Like, this is a
Can
thing
I
of going
hop in with the stages of grooming, because I saw this video a while back, like refuting the fact that, you know, it's not grooming via the stages of grooming, and they were like, I took a psychology class. I don't even remember who did it, so I'm actually going to list the stages of grooming because, like,
please.
for some reason they're just like, you always accuse us of grooming, but never actually find, you know, the way, you know, people do it. So let's pop off. Okay, so according to the Indiana chapter of National Alliance of Children Alliance, I can't speak. So the 6 to 7 stages of grooming are: number 1, finding a victim; number 2, gaining trust; number 3, helping a victim; number 4, isolate the victim; and number 5, sexualize the relationship; and number 6, maintain relationship and power.
1
so
through
I'm
4
going to go through.
would have been Inuyasha itself, the story itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So let's. Yeah. Number 1, abuser places themselves in a position where they have access to children. That's really easy. He's just kind of there. You know. I mean, this. I mean, I guess you could debate because he's not, you know, actively pursuing children, where he actively targets the victim. The abuser will gauge the children that are most capable of being abused without the abuser getting into trouble, and that is Rin to a T. She has nobody else at the current time. She's being abused by literally every other, like, human ever.
Mm-hmm.
So of course she's going to place her trust only in Sesshomaru because he's nice to her. He's targeting the victim. If we're going to go this route, then yes, he is very much targeting her because he sees that she's being abused. She's alone. She doesn't have parents. Of course she's going to be the perfect person to abuse because she's already pretty much isolated.
Yeah.
So, and she wouldn't be able to tell anybody. And number 3 is, of course, gaining trust. He gains trust. He saved her. He provides her with food. You know, he provides, well, relatively provides her with food. I mean, he provides her with clothes and a safety net. Like, anytime she calls, Lord Sesshomaru. I mean, he provides sometimes. I mean, everybody likes to quote that, you know, the Melon episodes where he's like, Rin, go get some food. But, I mean, parental Sesshomaru, it makes sense in my mind, but grooming Sesshomaru, you can technically argue that. But he gains trust very much from that one episode where she meets Jinenji, and she has complete and total faith when she's falling from a cliff that Sesshomaru will come to save her. She trusts him so implicitly that she'll do anything for him. And then there's another episode that people like to cite, which is the Forever with Lord Sesshomaru episode. Where, he provides her with,
God. Oh my God.
I'm gonna pop off on this. Where he provides her with a choice by the form of grooming logic. And this would be the perfect opportunity for her to, like, say something, for her to sit there and go, I don't want to be with Sesshomaru. So if you want to look at it from a perspective, because he's not saying anything, it's not like he's really providing her with choice. If you want to look at the more insidious aspect of this, it could be interpreted that he's testing how much she trusts, like, you know, she trusts him. Because if she suddenly started confessing, you know, oh, Sesshomaru is doing this or Sesshomaru is doing that, like, he could seriously just be testing her trust in him. And she trusts him to a T. She's like, I can make it on my own. I can do all this. I just need Lord Sesshomaru. And that's it. She doesn't even try to reach out for help. I mean, she makes friends with the other kids, but, you know, it's a loving relationship. So, you know, it's more complicated. Number 4, fulfilling a need or giving gifts. So, abusers typically utilize tactics such as giving money, gifts, flattery, meeting other basic needs of the potential victim. What does he provide her with? Food. He provides her with kimonos. He provides her, again, with another safety net. So tactics also may include increased intention and affection towards the targeted child. If you want to argue that Rin is the only person that he's ever loved, then yeah, that's extremely concerning because he has an increased attention to her, specifically her and her alone.
It's
so
creepy.
Number 5, isolation. So some people like to sit there and point to the fact that he never technically isolated her because she's living in Kaede's village. This is literally the stupidest freaking argument I have ever heard in my life, because isolation is not so much about like physical, like I don't know if y'all have read One Too Many Yandere.
Emotional
It's the feeling that you have. Yeah, it's the feeling that you no longer have anyone to talk to, that no matter who you go to, they're not going to listen. And you can see this in Yashahime, like, none of the characters even care about Rin. They don't care. She's just there.
They literally
He
do
doesn't
not
care.
like her. They don't care. They don't. They do not.
They don't care. So she doesn't have any friends her own age. She doesn't talk to Kohaku, like, maybe once or twice. But, I mean, it's not uncommon for grooming victims to have, friends IRL that they don't talk about this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, they just don't talk about it because they're scared. So isolation is not just, a form of physical isolation, it's mental isolation. But if you do want to get into the physical isolation, then, theoretically, he had to isolate her to do the diddly doodah, pop the fupa.
Unless they did it next
or
day, she was sleeping.
I can't believe I said that.
Like drilled it in, like, oh, this is okay. What I'm doing to you is okay, and she would have just fully accepted it, and like had no, and would have like probably fought anyone saying, I know this is wrong, and she probably would have been like,
okay
no,
because
that's
it was
okay. That's like a problem as well. She could have been like
Or,
so in deep.
okay, and here's number
and not
6.
know this bad
This is the
situation
most.
then.
Okay, so here's number 6, the most concerning stage, which can actually be displayed in both Inuyasha and Yashahime, which is the sexual stage, like desensitizing the child to physical touch. So once there's like sufficient emotional dependence and trust, the abuser progressively, sexualizes the relationship. So, they talk about sex or private areas on the body. I mean, we haven't technically seen all this stuff, in Inuyasha because it's, PG-14 rated.
But also
now
Yashahime.
I'd like to interject on that. That's a big reason that you don't see hypersexuality in Inuyasha is Rumiko actually said that would give that she said that Kagome is not allowed to have her skirt fly up, show anything throughout the entire series. And she was very closely involved with Inuyasha's like the original run. I think she kind of dropped off a bit during final act. However, she was very involved, and she it should be told, the only semi-sexualization that she's ever really done is when female clothes are torn off, but everyone's clothes get torn off.
Yeah.
But she just, to her, it was just, their top got torn off. The stark contrast between the sexualization of Inuyasha, if you want to call it that, with like Kagura's back being shown and like side boob over here, would be like when Toya is first semi like kind of introduced after, the child thing, is they have a slow up on her torso and her boy shorts that you would not see in Inuyasha whatsoever. Like, without a doubt, that would not be allowed. Like, this character is not even, like, we know, like, almost nothing about her at this point, and the show could not wait to be like, look at the body. And I remember just being like, this was another thing that certain critics like to bring up, is that, Rumiko was totally behind all of this, and Rumiko has come out on record saying that she did not even know that this show was even in production until they approached her to design the twins and Inukag's child, Morara. And she's out on record saying she had nightmares about how this show would be received. Rumiko is not... She's not somebody that's gonna like fly off the handle at people. She's a very modest woman. This woman has been on record talking about how studios have butchered her work in the past. She has no control over the Inuyasha IP that Sunrise holds. She owns the characters, and the manga, but the anime, everything of that's Sunrise. She has no control, and she has more or less distanced herself from it ever since. Like she
has.
And another thing that I would really like people that, like, even aunties kind of do this. Like, they go at her, and I'm like, you need to understand there's a huge difference between female rights in a Western world versus Japan. Just because she's on just because she's on paper as the creator does not mean she's Sailor Moon's creator. That woman has complete and total control over her IP. She does not let Toei do anything with it. But that is not Rumiko Takahashi. She has very little control over what they do with Inuyasha. And it shows time and time again that when they try to justify the complete, just absolute degradation of this IP, they're like, oh, she's totally behind it. And it's like, is she though? Is she? She doesn't
really.
Since we are talking about child development, would it be okay if I interjected on child development in a real world aspect?
Well,
yes.
Can I finish my
let
the
her
grooming
finish.
steps?
Sure.
Yeah, let her finish before we go into something else. Let someone else completely finish, and then we'll go back. We'll have let somebody else.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine.
Okay. That wasn't quite finished. Okay. So so back to like the whole graduation of, like, you know, sexualness. Like, you can, so one of the key things is like the seemingly innocent behaviors, so which you can definitely see in the show is when he starts touching her more, like he physically, you know, he pets her face, you know. It becomes increasingly more insidious if you look at it from a grooming perspective. You know, he holds her, he pets her face, and he gets her gradually more and more used to his, you know, touch. So, and then finally there's, you know, step number 7, which can blatantly be shown in Yashahime, which is once the sexual abuse is occurring, abusers will commonly use secrecy, blame, and threats to maintain the child's participation and continued silence. So he keeps a secret, you know, from what he's doing with the kids. In Yashahime, he keeps pretty much everything a secret, you know. I mean, I don't know if he necessarily blames others, but I mean, the whole thing is Sesshomaru's secret plan, which is a very big indicator that, yes, he is abusing her. You know, she's crying as he's taking away, and she's just like, I trust you. Like, that's the biggest red flag, that she is currently in an abusive relationship. So, I mean, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say.
Okay, that's it.
Should we touch upon the topic about, like, I've very, very horrifyingly seen people be like, well, you know, she's totally capable of consenting to this. She can't.
No, she cannot.
She cannot.
Yeah, she's a child.
She cannot.
So,
And they
would
like
anyone mind
to say
going
that because legal age didn't exist back then, the concept of legal age, then you can't say that she couldn't consent. Because, you know, that's a modern concept. I mean,
Right.
how effed up is that?
How messed up is that? You're right.
Yeah.
Can I add in like the age differences that I've been noticing when people are talking about, like, oh, Rin and Shomu and all that stuff? Can I add that in? Like,
Yes.
or should we do that later?
Okay,
so
go right ahead.
Does it
whenever
work?
people,
I think it works in this section.
okay, so whenever people are commenting about the age differences, and I've seen this with aunties too, but it's always, oh, like it's the supposed 15 to 16-year-old with a 19-year-old. But that's not the case. If we're, like, being real, Shishomu should have, like, aged up as well.
Mentally.
So instead of, like, the 15 to 16-year-old, it would have been a 15 to 16-year-old with a 19-year-old. He would have been around mid-20s when he went down on Ren and had the twins.
Chronologically, right. Chronologically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially for adding in the human aspect there. We're not even putting in demon stuff.
Leafy, if you wouldn't mind going into the, like, psychologically why Rin would not be capable to consent, because that was what you were going to touch on.
Rin, if we're going by the original, we're gonna finish. I'm gonna use the final act here. In that, she ends up as 11. Well, that's still technically, of course, a minor. I see this often. 13, 14-year-olds aren't children. Yes, you are. If we're gonna use modern data, you stop being a minor at 18. Well, that is typically because, at least here in America, that was the age young men were drafted into war. Arguably, you can cut off being a minor at 21. Because that is when you're finally allowed to drink alcohol. I'm putting in a completely American standpoint on this, so we're not messing with that.
Well,
yes, there's the Romeo and Juliet laws. People try to bring up Romeo and Juliet laws. Rin, still too young. If we're going to say Sesshomaru is 19, you still have to say that is, by American standards, an adult predating on a child.
They're going to say, well, this is not an American production.
Yeah. Even
by Japanese standards, it's illegal. I mean, they like to bring up the age of consent is 13.
Age of 13.
But it's not.
Island?
And why are you trying to argue the age of consent for sex?
It's
is 13?
the base law.
What is wrong with you?
What
is wrong with you?
Okay, wait. I studied this. I actually did my research. The base law in all of Japan is that the age of consent is 13, but that is typically used for like minor relationships because they don't want to, because they're trying not to regulate teens doing the nasty. You know what I mean? Because they're like,
can
all
consent to a 13-year-old.
Yeah, teens can consent to other teens is the theoretic, but in a lot of like Japanese territories, like they have it's kind of like state laws, you know what I mean? Like the base state law, it usually ranges from like 16 all the way up in some cases to 19. So it really depends on like the area that you're in Japan. There might be a couple places that it's 13. I haven't really truly delved in because there's a lot of territories in Japan.
A lot.
But again, it fluctuates like state laws. Like state laws, in the US, it also varies from, 16. I mean, actually, in some cases, 15 to 18. So based off of the age of consent. So it's not even technically legal in Japan. So, and honestly, if you're using that argument, just
stop. Yeah, like
why are you bringing it up? Why are you bringing up that it's age of consent?
Why would you use it? Why would you use it?
Why are you using that? Why do you know that? I didn't know that until a bunch of people started arguing that. Like, why are you so concerned about that?
Why are you the person saying, yeah, well, you can have sex at 13? What the fuck?
That's with another 13-year-old.
Like, please get out. Just please. Why are you trying to have sex with 13-year-olds? Because that's all that screams to me, that you want to have sex with 13-years while being not.
That's 13. What it screams to me too.
You want to have sex with 13-year-olds.
Why are you using that argument?
Trying to have sex with 13-year-olds? Please stop. Please stop.
I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you're not a Pieto, but be very wary. There's using that argument gives a lot of people weird vibes when you say that, so don't use that argument ever. Just don't.
Then they complain about being called pedo pushers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you call it?
That's I would call them simple, but
yeah,
simple. The point though is going to like how the brain isn't developed enough to give consent.
No.
Right.
Like
your
that
brain
age
does not finish at till 25. That is when your brain average stops developing. You are 25.
Yeah.
13 is like
and there's like a very
you're halfway there.
There's like a very small interview of like it could be plus or minus, but at most it's maybe like a year. So maybe you could like mature at 24 and maybe you could mature at 26, but it's like a year at most. And it's based off of, trauma, either physical or mental.
Where are we? Are we under? Where are we? Are we under? What topic are we under? Are we under?
I guess we're under mental health experts, kind of.
Although,
I mean, I want to touch on like
how child development.
Hang on.
And the next topic is like the lack of plot in Yashahime.
Oh.
Okay, but real,
Yeah, we're gonna have fun with that one.
Can I
real
start? Can I start?
boy.
Oh, sorry.
hang on, real quick.
Well,
Someone in chat named Keiko Shintaku said, "But what about the feudal era?" So we actually covered that earlier. The average age for marriage was between 16 to 25, I believe I said.
And 16 was on the lower end of things. So
16
That's like the
Yeah.
equivalent of like an 18-year-old getting married today.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you have the same like. Oh
yeah,
my
we
gosh,
might
you're young.
timestamp this later, maybe.
Yeah, but that
we're
is
feeling-
from a paper from Princeton, and actually there is a post on Tumblr about it. I will pull the link so that one of the mods can pop it in chat for you, just so that you have that historical data. So, I just because that has my entire argument on it. That's where I pulled it from. So,
Are we going into lack of plot?
yeah. Now you can go into like
Yeah.
I just wanted to address
Go
that.
have fun. Go nuts, Billy.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
can't go, I wish I
Yeah,
could go
yeah,
nuts. I
so-
really can't.
We're not making fun of Keiko Taylor. We're just pointing it out so she can find it later, since she couldn't find it immediately.
Oh no. Okay.
Sorry, replying to Taylor in chat. Yeah, sorry,
But
Keiko. We're not insulting you. We're just telling you to
and you guys
that's
know
where it
that
is. Sorry.
you guys know that I have watched the show because we do theories based on the show. So I have
Mm-hmm.
I have watched this bullshit. I have watched it. And this is the worst show I have watched in my, I want to say entire life, but literally my entire life. After episode 3, this becomes a plotless abyss. It completely cuts off. And then they want to tell you, well, at 21, the plot picks up. What the hell happened between 3 and 21? Where did the plot go? You have demons.
There's no line to follow.
There are demons that are introduced that immediately die the same episode. There are dangerous demons that are introduced that immediately vanish until like 80 episodes later, where you're like, who he has a pearl? Who is this? Like, it is the worst. The twins aren't interested in the environment around them. They don't have questions about their parents, mother, and then when they finally realize who their father is, they're like, I guess that's my dad. Whatever. Don't want to know that guy. Like,
I'm back.
Weber.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Weber. When it comes to the villains, like the villains are trash. They turned the biggest villain, into a saint. So now Corinne Maru is a saint, and then Zero is all of a sudden a scorned woman who can't get over Toga. That's who our villain
woman,
is.
I wanted
which
to mention
A
with
scorned
how they
woman.
messed up at the woman
Hang
character.
on,
Hang
sorry
on.
to interrupt. If someone wants to address this real quick, we have another question in the chat. Where's the proof of what you're saying? Rumiko is credited as a supervisor, script supervisor, and design maker. She is also
I can answer that. Rumiko is not. She is accredited.
It's not.
She is accredited as original character design. That is her only.
Yeah.
Accreditation. The staff is Saruto Teru. He is the director. Nagaru Yashuri is the sound director. Six Tones is the theme song performance. Uru is a theme song performance. Hishi Numura Yoshito is character design. Akita Shigmi, I am butchering these names horribly, is the art director. Ni Kazuhiro is editor. Agawa Shigmi is director of photography. Sato Miyuki is color design. Suma.
We can probably.
I can't wait to say his
we can probably
other
pop it in
name.
the chat. We can probably pop it in the
Yes.
chat.
He is.
Rumiko only designed like the character.
There's actually an interview up on the official Yashahime Twitter that I think is the director goes into her just doing character design. She is not in charge of a script. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She's not.
Sorry to
That's
interrupt.
all.
I just wanted to
Sorry.
address that question
Yeah.
since it was brought up.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That's not the case. I mean,
I
if
mean,
she was,
foundation
maybe,
I
for
mean,
the story. What
if it was-
story?
Yeah,
Like literally, what story?
And-
what's
and
happened
did
in
great
this?
job.
What's happened in this show? Like nothing happened. Like literally nothing happened. Nothing. And then Toa is introduced earlier on too as being one character, and then she turns into a whole nother character after episode 3. 1 through 3, she's like willing to fight, and she was like literally fighting people for sport and beating up on dudes for sport, and all of
Yeah.
like literally attacking people
Yeah.
for no reason. And then after episode 3, she's all like, no, she's a pacifist. She's like, no, I don't want to fight. No, oh my god,
No, that's me.
Violence is
that's me.
bad.
Violence is not the answer, even though I've been violent for
Yes,
the
sir.
last 10 years.
Violence
The thing is,
is maybe the answer.
And she
Yes.
was getting put out of school too. She
That's
was
the
getting
point
put
of
out of
school.
school.
like you don't know if you should
She was
focus on the dance
School all the time.
yes.
She couldn't have a stable school.
And she is so
Nothing.
dumb.
Go
Oh
on,
my
Easter.
god, she is so dumb. Dumb.
Sorry, my dad ran.
Someone
through.
else in the chat wants us to address the Toa and Riku relationship kind of thing.
Oh.
That was not
sometimes
that
Well,
It's not like and it's gross.
Sunrise already said that they're not going to be romantic, so there is no relationship.
There is none.
I mean,
Yes,
thank
Micho Pung,
God.
you know
You
that
can't.
the story in Yashahime contradicts. We are actually going to get into that later. So stick around. We are definitely going to be getting into how Sunrise completely mishandled the show. But I have to
let's
pop off
speed
for
it up.
just a few moments. I have groceries delivering, so be back in a few.
Okay.
But
Hey.
yeah, there nothing happened in this. Like, if you skip this and like start at season 2, you've absolutely missed nothing. Like, you've missed nothing. This is one of those shows. You know how Inuyasha was so popular because you could literally jump in at any episode in Inuyasha and not be like confused. Somebody has to mute. One of you guys.
Leafy, mute.
You have to
You're
mute.
crinkling.
Yeah. But you
There
know
you
how Inuyasha used to be back in the day where you would watch it and you could literally jump in anywhere? Well,
and I've only
yeah.
just discovered Inuyasha this year.
and that's what you can do with Yashahime. You can literally jump in anywhere and not miss anything for totally different reasons. Totally different reasons. Anybody
I
else?
mean, for the love of God, I watch Boruto. guys. Like,
Yeah,
I know
I'm gonna have to
trash
judge you
when-
for that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, judge me. Judge me all you want.
No,
Judge me all you want.
we watched Yashahime. We cannot judge anybody.
No, you're right.
We cannot.
we cannot.
I
We
enjoy
cannot.
Boruto.
In people in glass
Boruto's
houses.
Yashahime
Boruto's-
is just so bad.
It's
Like,
so
Boruto,
bad.
I can sit there and go, hey, this whole shit is awful, but I enjoy, like, these couple of episodes, and it's, like, I mean, Boruto is just, like, a whole up and down kind of weird thing of, like, yeah, I enjoy that episode, and then you watch the next episode, and you're like, I wish I was dead right now, and then you watch the next episode, this is pretty good. Yashahime, you just keep getting more and more, like, dead inside the more you watch it. You're just sitting there like, I hate this. Next episode. I want to just yeet myself off of a bridge. Next episode. I want to shoot myself in the foot. Next episode. I have now severed all of my limbs and I want to disconnect my eyeballs from their sockets. Next
Gosh,
episode. And
it
you keep
is-
forcing me to watch.
It is the most painful thing to try to go and watch twice. It's like if like they wanted to like torture terrorists to make them give up information, just let them watch Yashahime. Like, just turn it on. They will talk. They will talk. They will talk. They will talk because it is so bad. It is awful. The dialogue is simple and terrible. The character designs are terrible. The animation is terrible. There's
Terrible.
nothing to be enjoyed in this bullshit.
Terrible.
There is
Except
nothing.
Crackhead Kirawa. Except Crackhead Kirawa.
Oh yeah, Kakeki Lala.
We
I
did
didn't
enjoy
enjoy
that.
that.
We did enjoy that.
Kakeki Lala. Kilala
That's
got
arguably the only thing.
she got her some of
It's
that.
something you watch when you're lit, when you are bombed, when you
You
are,
have to-
you know,
yes.
not in the right headspace.
Could I speak upon the Boruto argument? In defense of Boruto also can draw callbacks to its original series because Boruto is about Naruto's son. The Yashahime cannot do that because Sesshomaru is a side character. Yes, he was one of the most popular, and definitely Rumiko has even come on record saying that even though she was intending on killing him, his popularity
Kept him alive, yeah.
kept him alive. However, because of the way they wrote it, by sealing Inuyasha and Kagome away and
Oh my
just
God.
absolutely making a mess of Miroku and Sango, there's very, very little callbacks that Yashahime could do, because they pretty much just ex-nayed like 90% of the main cast.
I cannot believe they took away the reason that most people would watch the show. And a lot of people are like, well, it's enough
I know.
sex to keep the show watching. Bullshit. Because if that was the case, people would be talking about Yashahime.
That's not true.
It's not
That's
true.
not true.
Yeah, I mean, in
Oh.
their,
Can I say
in their
something? Yeah,
wildest
it'd be
fantasies,
something.
in their wildest fantasies, in their poor pussies, probably.
Yeah, they'd be up there with like AOT and all really popular and Jujutsu Kaisen.
And
yeah. Oh, can I make my stupid joke? I want to make my stupid joke. I really want a stupid joke. Okay.
Please.
So I had two favorite characters growing up. It boggles my mind every single freaking time that one of these characters, only one, has turned out to be a good parent and the other is a pedophile. And I mean, if you told me this when I was 12, I would have laughed, because and those two characters are Orochimaru and Sesshomaru. And Boruto said, we're gonna debunk that whole freaking thing. Yeah, he experimented on children, but that was about it. And now he's a relatively good parent. And now there's Sesshomaru, and
he's the bad parent.
I hate that so much. If you told this to me when I was 12, I would have just died. I'd been like, you're telling me after all the pedomaru, like the other pedomaru jokes, because we had this joke back in the Naruto fandom way back then, except it's applied specifically to Orochimaru, and Orochimaru is the better. What the heck?
In Japan, Boruto has a negative reaction more so in a Western audience than it does in Japan. It's very popular in Japan. However, Yashahime tanked pretty quickly.
Yashahime is not popular anywhere.
Yeah.
What are you watching on television to where you think Yashahime is good? Raise your standards. Stop it. Raise your standards. Please raise your standards.
We must be watching The Big Bang Theory. That
sure
sucks.
You must be watching Paint Dry, Turtles Walking. I'm not sure what you're watching, but Yashahime is not good. It's not
Ruby
good.
in chat makes a good point. The show also has transphobia and colorism in it.
So yes. So wait, it has. Let me go back to the plots.
Yeah.
Going back to the plots, it has transphobia. It has child trafficking. It has a hate of adopted families when it comes to Toa and Sota. And it has pedophilia. So this show is just fantastic.
I'd like to actually talk about Shiori without using real world like issues that we have.
No, Shiori, as you know, Shiori is not. She's not brown. She's orange gold.
Yeah, I would like to. I just want to of the show itself. The thing is I actually made a really good post about this on my blog. Without using Asian beauty standards that paler is better, or the not so great racism or issues there. In the context of the Inuyasha world, demons are more or less seen as bad. We have very, very few demons that are actually good.
And all of them are the beasts of burden or Shippo. All the good demons are beasts of burden or Shippo.
Yes, and with Shiori, having her have her demonite, which is supposed to be them being more or less they're humanite, not demonite. Brain. Having her more or less take away her coloring and giving her brown, like very more or less light brown hair, even though her mother's hair was deep brown, and taking away her skin tone, you are implying to impressionable youth who are likely not very introduced to not so great realities of the world that a skin tone that occurs naturally within human parents is still bad within the context of Inuyasha. So even without using, because I know the shippers, they love like going at like these stupid arguments, oh well, it's in the context of the show. Even without using IRL politics and such, within the show itself, a natural occurring skin tone is seen as bad. And that's something that just like really got under my skin.
No,
Like,
what got me as someone who is brown is the fact that people are walking around calling her orange gold. Get out of here. Like,
oh god, yeah, no,
get
like,
When
outta
I used
here.
to watch this,
get out of
Joey
here.
was like the first ever like brownish character that was like I think she was the first one I've ever seen in like a big anime that had almost the same color as me, and I was like overjoyed when I was like, hey, this cool demon has the same color as I do. And when I was like 10, I was happy, and then I do this, and it's like, so
It's like what you're telling
yeah,
me is
even
Oh,
from
what
the
you're telling me
aspect
is-
of a child who would more or less not know about real world issues regarding racism, they're being told, hey, this natural occurring skin tone is bad. No need for that. There was
Well,
absolutely no need for that
imagine
other
me-
than
yeah,
the,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it was
can I just say it doesn't make sense? Like even in the show, these half demons supposedly they lose their demon features on their human night, and these features are features that are incompatible with humans, shall we say? But if they lost every single feature they got from their demon parent, then, for instance, Inuyasha, when he turns into a human, shouldn't have his dad's thick eyebrows. He should suddenly have his mom's eyebrows. But
Very
that's not the
delicate.
case. That's not
a
the
good
case.
point.
So
Yeah,
me,
that's a good point.
but like I've noticed.
And wasn't
wonder what happens
Inuyasha's
to
hair more
Jinenji.
like Toga's rather than his mom's?
yeah, absolutely.
He
Because
should
it's
have
thicker
thick,
and
straight hair.
yeah, and
It
that
is
doesn't
no
happen
friggin'
because
well, I actually have a good reasoning for that. That more or less could have been genetics. Like, even though it's rescinding the demon trait, he's still biologically Toga's child.
Yeah.
So those are
Yeah,
those are genetics.
yeah, that's what we're saying. That it's not that they lose every single feature
Why
they
did
got
she
from their
become
demon
lighter
parent.
skinned? Yeah, like
Yeah,
why
exactly,
did she become lighter
yeah.
skinned? Because usually when you have demons and so forth, like Janinji, I'm sure. Well, we don't know. He was under the blanket, but I'm pretty sure Janinji did not change colors. Inuyasha didn't change
To be
colors.
honest,
Why did she change
I
colors?
go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Oh, well,
Yeah, and Inuyasha
be
has a darker skin tone, just like his father, and it's not
Yeah.
like it changes.
lighter.
Yeah,
when-
yeah,
Yeah.
Inuyasha
No,
got
like,
lighter.
no,
like-
let him keep his tan.
and
But why
what-
did Shiori's skin change?
what
Not
pissed me
Inuyasha.
And you know what pissed me off more than actually that pissed me off. Shiori's episode pissed me off. What pissed me off more is people calling her freaking orange gold.
Yeah, that was just
Yeah.
not okay.
That's
But
not
in
okay.
in regards to Jinenji, to be perfectly honest, I don't even think Jinenji is even a demon. I honestly believe that Jinenji's father was a forest god, much like the water goddess that
What?
you meet later on. This is only because his father was very much presented in that same.
Let's not get into Janinji. Let's not even tackle.
No, I'm just saying in
Let's not
general
do
that
that.
he
Let's not
doesn't
do that.
apply because the whole story with Jinenji
Well,
very
we-
much mirrored the water goddess. That's what I'm coming from. Like, I feel like Jinenji is like a really poor example of a half demon since.
we didn't see him either, so that's why I said he was under the blanket. We didn't see him anyway, so we can't use him regardless. We can use him on his human
The
night.
demon, the fact that he has a human knight does actually put him squarely in the half demon category.
Yeah, he had a human night, but it's just we didn't get to see what he looked like. So,
Yeah.
but he had a human night.
Yeah, why? Ice asked, why don't the twins' eyes turn gold? Like their fathers, their uncle, their grandfather, their grandmother, their cousin Mora. This I could pretty much answer that. This was just sunrise being sunrise. Like the original designs had, I believe, Toya and Setsuna with brown eyes, correct? Like both of them had brown eyes.
Toa had gold eyes. And
Yeah, they both had
Setsuna
gold eyes
brown.
in
The other
beginning.
one had brown.
Yeah, like they had
Depending on
more
if
or
you're
less.
colorblind or not.
Yeah, well, I'm grandma, so but yeah, that was more or less sunrise coming out with The twins originally had silver and gold. That's right, yeah, because Setsuna had like silvery eyes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But that was more or less Sunrise. I think they just kind of took what she quickly sketched up for them and just kind of played around with it so they could do the mom mystery.
Yeah, well, let's go back into that because we are talking about the lack of plot. Well, we were.
Yeah.
This show, and people, let's start over from the beginning where people are like, there is no mom mystery. Okay, idiots. If there is no mom mystery, why was the mom not presented in the beginning? Like, usually you didn't have to guess who Maroha's mom was, right? Right.
No.
They even did didn't they even do a poll? Didn't they even do a poll saying who is the mom?
Yeah.
Who's mom? Like they hyped up the mom mystery.
And interviewers on the official Yashahime who did the interviews when they were interviewing the director and stuff, they said the mom mystery. Like they even called it a mystery. So not saying that they are like from Sunrise or anything like that, but it is a mom mystery. Everybody has the consensus that it's a mom mystery, other than Sessriners because they think 14-year-olds should be, baby mothers. But anyway,
yeah. I mean, it still is a mystery because they refuse, like every single time they refer to the twins. They're never like Sesshomaru and Rin's daughters. It's always just Sesshomaru. They're still doing that.
And it's like, does Rin even matter at this point? It's the that's what.
No, she's forgotten in the fridge like old leftovers. She's
in the fridge.
Like that. That's pretty much like
the pediatric pickle peasant is in the refrigerator.
Very much. But yeah, Ruby brings up another thing about Toya being a Mary Sue, which was very true. Toya was definitely a Mary Sue throughout. Like she started out strong, in my opinion. Like she was she was very interesting. She started out kind of like they showed her trophies. They kind of did. Oops, somebody dropped on us.
They'll connect back.
Okay. Yeah. They showed her trophies. They kind of alluded to her demon strength that allowed her to be much stronger than her peers and whatnot. And then they just kind of, as they went on, they just kind of made her dumber and dumber.
I think blander is the word.
Blander. She is an unseasoned grain of like rice. She is awful. Like get her out of here. She is terrible. And everybody that likes her is just bland themselves and self-inserted.
The reviewer, from Anime News Network, he came out.
Yeah.
There was this point. What are you writing? Where he even had it where after Riku had hugged her, she was like, "Those are different from my hugs with Papa Soda," and I'm like,
"What are you talking about?"
I remember being like, "Sunrise, did you literally just reference her Doki Doki? Like, did you literally just reference that? Like, well,
but that moment was worse. It came out of nowhere. They just forced it on you. Like, you have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like
in general.
And poor Setsuna. Like I do very much feel for Setsuna.
I like her. I just don't like the unseasoned.
The only thing I disliked with Setsuna was the stupid somehow she knows how to play the violin. The violin was the thing that just really
oh my god,
that
remember when she was a fetus? It was Ren's lullaby.
Oh god.
Oh yeah,
I don't have time to tell.
The lullaby, but yeah, that was definitely something that I'm just like
please stop.
The thing is earlier in the show, they tried referencing that that you can't show modern day stuff in the feudal era, something that they didn't really do with Kagome ever because it wasn't really plot relevant, but they tried to call back to that, and then out of the blue they're just like, oh, Setsuna can play the violin even though this is a Eurocentric piece that would not have been brought to Japan until hundreds of years later, so
this is horrible. Don't watch this show, by the way. If you haven't, don't watch this show.
No, watch it if you want alcohol poisoning.
Especially don't
watch board.
No, the only reason why you should watch Yashahime is if you want to play a drinking game out of it.
Yeah, exactly. If you want alcohol poisoning, have fun.
Have fun.
Go nuts.
Go for it.
If you're under the age of 18, do not watch the show, please. I'll get into that aspect.
It's not
later. So
don't. Go ahead.
Don't.
What are we talking about now?
So
Should we move on to a different subject since we've kind of gone over a lot of plot issues?
Yeah.
So how about we move from plot to the mishandling of the OG cast?
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
That
how they-
sounds good.
when can
So-
we do the lowly hose of self-insertion? When can that one come?
How
Let's
about
do
after?
that after this.
Okay.
I'm gonna be busy for a moment with my
Should
dad.
Billy.
Oh, I was gonna
I will
start with the
like
whole.
I'll do my section after that because I feel like it applies to the psychology kind of section. So
Of the
let's
lowly,
do that.
Sure.
Of
Get
the
me
lowly hose.
Yeah,
Of the lowly.
The lowly
Yeah.
the
hose.
lowly hose.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna start with like the whole, when Sunrise tried to excuse Sesshomaru's terrible fathering, terrible parenting with demons don't raise their children. I would like to go ahead.
Oh my God! Please.
That is atrocious.
So, firstly, the whole
He's
lion,
not Goku.
their
I'm
cubs,
sorry.
like the whole lion thing. You can just Google that; it's debunked. But I'm going to go into the OG series and give specific examples. Now, I'm not going to use any parents who were not shown in any capacity raising their children. So this would go for mostly deceased parents or things like that. I'm going to stick to, and I'm not going to use the movies either because movie 4 goes into a whole different tangent, and the canonicity of the movies is debatable.
Right.
I'm going to stick to the original series with parents who were shown with their children, alive. I'm going to start with Shippo, part of the main cast. Shippo's father was raising him. As a matter of fact, there is a scene where Shippo even says to Inuyasha, "Our family took baths together all the time."
Right.
And as a matter of fact, Shippo's father was only recently killed when he was introduced. He was stealing the Shikon jewel shard from Kagome to try to get the Thunder Brothers. The pelt was still intact around Monten's waist.
Montan's waist, yeah.
Yeah. So this was a freshly killed demon. So Shippo's parents were very much in his life until he was taken in by Kagome and Inuyasha. Because honestly, unless they just flat out adopted him, I don't know why Shippo stuck around after that episode. I love Shippo. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Shippo. I love Shippo through the series. But him sticking around to fight Naraku for the Shikon jewel shards was a really weird thing for a child.
Get the fox out of here. No, I'm just playing. I like him. I like him. I
love Shippo.
I like him too. I love him to death.
Then let's move on to Hiten and Monten. They are actually shown with their parents.
They have a whole ass family portrait.
They literally have a family freaking portrait.
Literally have a
Kind
whole
of lamented how he looked more like his mother and how he wished to look more like his father and brother because he looked more like his mother.
He knew his parents.
They were still part of his life. Still.
Yeah. Those two knew their parents.
We don't know where their parents are, but
their parents supposedly died. Their parents died probably to Naraku, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And then the brothers were raising their sister until they died. So
And that's in Sunrises, because the sister's not canon to the manga.
Yeah.
That's in Sunrise's own
really?
pillars. So
But they never said that Soten wasn't raised by them either, though. She never said that because they were a tribe. So she never said she wasn't raised by them, at least.
no.
Okay, so then I'll move on to someone who actually does have a listed parent, and that is Kanta, the otter demon, who Sesshomaru actually saved his father. We see the father interacting with his child, helping him catch fish, taking care of him, saving him when he falls off of a waterfall. And their bond was so strong, Kanta carried his dad's head around for days trying to find his body. And
but they don't raise their kid. Oh.
Yeah, but they don't.
The birds.
Just like Princess Abi being old as shit, she's like 30 in her mom's basement. But she with her mom. What are you doing? She's with her mom. They do raise their kids. Clearly, they
Let Princess Abe live.
Well, and I've got a couple more examples.
The monster that was attacking Jinenji's village, that too, that demon. From what I've heard, the demon was teaching their kids how to kill their prey too, right?
yes, but that was a mother spirit. Yeah. That was a mother spirit, however, so it doesn't quite apply. She was called Mother Centipede, so
Well, that is still a demon raising their children.
Yeah, but we want to keep to the
specified
argument of fathers, since, Sunrise
Okay.
probably would come out and be like,
3-3.
no, but moms do.
Well, then
But
I have.
Yeah, the
Continue.
only father that really dipped was Janenji's father, but that's because it was a nice one-night stand. Like, she was just like, he's fine, and then she got pregnant. I mean, let's just
What about
be for real.
Shiori's
Shiori's-
father? What
yeah,
about
Shiori's
Shiori's
He
father?
left them that feud, didn't he? Like,
Shiori's dad is dead, so I'm not including that in the argument because people
Okay.
can then say,
However,
well, he was dead, so we don't know.
no. Shiori's
know,
father
we know.
was in the he
Yeah,
was
we
in
do
the
know.
stone. Yeah, her mother even said, because Shiori says, I felt a hand patting me, and her mother said that was your father. So even though Shiori's father was deceased, his spirit lingered to watch over his wife and child.
I am going to mention another demon, though, who we are shown, being with their father and wanting to rescue their father because they were raised by their father. A small child demon named Bunza, who is a lynx demon.
Oh,
They were
yeah,
trained under
him.
Soto's side.
Yeah, on
I
Toto-
don't think
on
I've seen
Toto's
that.
side- Yeah, on Toto's side's rigid training. Yes, He was back. He was trying to save his village and his father. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
So,
for
we
the demon kids and whatnot, can we go to the other Yashahime episode with that demon with the hard shell? That little kid, his father, was the armor was stolen, right? Like, didn't that demon still kind of raise his son as well?
I actually haven't watched Yashahime. I am not going to give it a single view. But there is one other that most people probably aren't going to think about. In the episode with Nobunaga Amari, who I mentioned earlier, we run into a frog demon who is the 99th son of the 99th son, or blah, 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 blah. Well, in order to know how far he is in the flippin' lineage, you have to know your parents.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
That episode, just like deep memory. Damn.
Could I interject on one of Sunrise's own?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Ayame, she is raised by her grandfather. Her parents were
Right,
killed.
That's true.
Wolf demons are established as pack animals, so obviously they all know their parents.
Yes.
Oh,
Um,
snap. They do. They do.
It
And
might
also-
mean Ayame was more raised in a communal setting, but she knew her parents.
And she knew they
Yeah.
were killed, and she was raised by her granddad. So
Yeah.
basically, demons do raise their children.
Yeah, and we also know that Sesshomaru was raised by his parents.
Right.
Um,
They act like we forgot.
Mom.
Yeah,
What?
His mom, his dad.
Yeah, his mom, his father was around. We see him learning from his father in the fourth movie, which I am going to mention it because that is a Sunrise thing, and they're trying to. Sunrise is now trying to say, parents don't raise their children, and the demon. No, Toga was there for Izayoi and Inuyasha, and he was trying to impart his last wisdoms on Sesshomaru because he was raising him. Like,
Oh,
even
wait.
though his
Chat's quiet. They can't hear us. Hold up.
Uh-oh.
Billy, check your audio.
Okay, let me see.
I'm just walking around the garden, so I know I'm not messing with anything.
My audio is. Uh-oh. Microphone, speakers.
Okay, they can hear us again. Must have just been a quick cutout.
Okay,
Alright, we're good.
Yay.
at what point did you guys stop hearing everything?
Well, I think that maybe was it just Master Thunder, or did we really cut out? I mean,
And the person who said that they couldn't hear us.
some people are
uh,
cutting out when it
send-
comes to the Discord, I guess.
I see people responding
Let's
to
go
the
quiet.
thing in the chat. Okay, they can hear.
Did
Did it go quiet for anybody else aside from Master Thunder? Okay, they said the only one they had trouble hearing was
Doesn't
Finn.
look like it.
Okay, so you have all these, and then we're going to include one of the movies because that's a Sunrise thing. The fourth movie. Those demon parents were very involved with their children.
They just died. Like they were involved with their children. They had a whole village. Remember? They had an entire village.
Yeah.
They had an
They
entire
moved
village.
to an
Yeah.
island specifically so they could raise their children
Yes.
because they didn't want their half demon children to be bothered by humans.
Exactly.
A mood.
So they moved to this island. They cut it off from the rest of Japan for the specific children of keeping their children safe because they loved them. That was the whole plot of the fourth movie. The demon parents wanted to be there for their children to the point where they cut themselves off from the rest of Japan, except for every 50 years. That was the plot.
Except you want to tell me that now. So I've watched all this, right? And then you want to say, well, demons don't raise their children. Bullshit. Just bullshit. Bullshit.
Which then you have to go with the conclusion that Sesshomaru was raising Rin, which when you take Yashahime, which I will never consider canon, it is an AU, it is
not canon to the manga, so it's not canon to me. It's not canon.
Well, they did downgrade it too.
Right.
They even
can't
said
say
that it wasn't.
like Sesshomaru raised Rin. That is his daughter.
Yes.
By the standards of the original show. And that is even something that Rumiko Takahashi said. Sesshomaru raised Rin.
Hagosha means parent/guardian.
Gosha.
I mean, you can see it. Most of his actions are parenting.
And I will go even further. I will go even further and state this. He was a good enough parent in the OG series. This shows how
bad.
Yeah. So in the episode Forever with Lord Sesshomaru, right? We have Ungai citing that, just being alone with the demon is no place for a child. It's dangerous. She needs to learn to socialize with people. Sesshomaru stood back, listened to everything Ungai said. And then once it was safe, because leaving her with Kaede while Naraka was about, she would get kidnapped. She would be used as a pawn. It ended up happening a few times.
I was going to say it happened anyway, but yeah, continue.
Yeah. When it was
Continue.
safe, he left her in the village to learn how to live with humans because he wanted her to be more social. He wanted to be a good parent to her. That is what I see, not only just based on what Rumiko Takahashi says, but I actually took foster parent classes. Specifically the parents as tender healers.
I did as well. I helped my mom out with foster care for a while. I did as well.
Oh, same.
I'd love to be working I'd love to do foster parenting. That sounds amazing.
I did it. Yep.
So it's like you see these and you realize he's taking these critiques and trying to be a better parent. Yashahime just undoes all of his character development. All of it.
They're just like, you know what?
I want to say something there about his character development. Actually, now that you touch it. And since we talked about his parenting towards Rin, like, they completely trash him.
I really do.
I can say, probably, and maybe I'm daring too much, but I can say that most of us did see Sesshomaru as a good parent. Like, he did the most he could do. Like, for Rin.
He did pretty good, yeah. He did pretty good.
Into a great demon. He turned into a great demon for another cause. But he stopped being an idiot because of Rin. He learned emotions. Like, he developed into someone worthy.
Right.
A worthy
If he did something wrong, that would endanger Rin, so he doesn't do the wrong thing again.
Like, he was more careful around her. Like, he was more careful about not killing when she was near. He was more careful about not being mouth-mouthed.
Like another thing is like people notice he traveled like slower to like let her keep up with him.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
he let him
how do you say?
and
Yeah. Like, he pretty much bended his world so Rin could fit in it. But he didn't do the same for his kids.
yeah.
Yeah, so he was a better parent to his wife than to their children.
Woo! That's a lot to unpack.
Lovely.
That's a lot to unpack. What you
Also,
said, a better
Billy
parent
raised
to
your
wife and kids.
And the thing
We
is, for
shouldn't
example,
unpack it. We should just set the suitcase on fire and toss it in the river.
well,
Yeah.
in that one episode where Rin falls in from the cliff, like, he was there in a second, and you're telling me Yashahime, like, she's pickled there for years, and he's like, come and going. It's like, she's okay as long as she's not dead.
She's not
Like,
dead, right?
Sesshomaru would have done something right away. Not even in a minute. He would have done it like in a snap of a finger.
He's like 15 years in the jar. She got some more pickling to do. She'll be all right.
She's right already.
Yeah, and when she wakes up, he's like, oh no, he's waking up. Gotta do something.
Gotta put him back to sleep. Hold on. Gotta put him to sleep. And then, because when it comes to his own children, like I was talking to my mom about it, I'm like, Mom, he's straight up like, man, fuck them kids. Like he's straight up just like, man, he puts them in the forest to die, and then he puts her in the tree, and then he's done with the whole situation. He's trying to wash away his shame. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that's what he's doing. Pretty sure.
Commit the seppuku. He
This is
should.
actually going to go back to the
Yashahime. I hope
mishandling
he
of the show. Sesshomaru hates mind games. He hates them. He's not smart enough for them.
He is not smart enough for them. They're
Like
complicated,
mind games,
okay?
he lacks the mind.
Who said like
Literally,
Yeah.
Scott questions his intelligence on more than one occasion. And the plans that Sesshomaru had in the original series, like with the Unmother and things like that, those were Jockin's plans.
Yeah,
He
like-
even credits them to
Yeah.
Jockin.
He is not the smartest guy. He's not the smartest guy.
No.
Dog.
No, he actually, the reason he actually, keeps Jockin around, even though he shows obvious annoyance, I actually think that he actually likes Jockin. He's shit.
Of course
Doesn't
he
show
likes
us.
Jockin. He likes Jockin. Of course he does.
He does. But
They
the reason he kept Jockin
Jockin.
around all these years, despite how annoying Jockin can be, I love Jockin, by the way, is because Jockin actually is a leader. He is the leader of an imp tribe, and actually Sesshomaru uses those imps on rare occasion. Jockin actually is capable of strategy. Sesshomaru is not.
Sesshomaru is so reckless. Like, let's talk about him. He's just a reckless character. Like, he gets his arm cut off. He almost get blown apart. Like, he is the biggest underestimator of his opponent's strength. And
I mean, Sesshomaru is only brute force. He's not brains. He's brute force.
Yeah, he never learns his lesson. Like, even Naraku almost trapped him, but Inuyasha ended up saving him. He never learns his lesson. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Never, ever. I love him to death. I'd peg him, but I'm just saying. Never, ever. Never, ever. Never, ever.
He's bullheaded. He's not very smart. As a matter of fact, I think on a scale of 1 to 10, Rumiko gave him like a 4 in intelligence.
Well, I have the,
Yeah.
I have the Inuyasha
Yeah.
It's not that low. It's not that low. Let me see.
Like, it's not
Guys,
low,
someone
but
on
it's
YouTube
lower
just
than
said
Shippo.
people think Sash is like Yagami.
What?
No.
Oh my god.
Well, it's true.
Oh,
I mean,
Yagami, honestly, is an idiot. I'm not gonna lie, he just scores well on tests, but he's an idiot. I will fight you. I will fight.
oh.
Light Yagami.
Let's see, where is
I could fix all the
Supposed to
problems
be
that
the
Light Yagami is.
strategic genius.
I don't
He's
know
an
who
idiot.
Light Yagami is.
No,
Oh, from
no.
Death Note.
The guy from Death Note.
I'm sorry, excuse me. His intellect is a 4 out of 5. You're right.
Oh, it's a 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 10? Because she ranked him pretty low.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Okay, so he's not as dumb as I thought he was.
He just seems very
Oh.
dumb. He just seems very
Yeah.
dumb.
The lights are on, but nobody's home. That's what it looks like to me half the time. The lights were on, but nobody's home.
But
I'm
like
sorry.
canonically, Sesshomaru never he never plans his way out of a fight
he just
or
goes
to
into
victory.
it.
Like he
Yeah.
just
He just
slices
goes on
with
the
his
quad.
sword and slashes
He
with his
punches.
claws.
Only one occasion I can think of where
Yeah, it's funny because he just was old like
what he
Inuyasha.
was going to do. And that was actually the fight with Ungai. Because Rin was there, and he was like, oh, if I attack the way I normally would, I'm going to hurt her. So that is the only time we actually visually see him think about what he's going to do in a fight.
When the seven when Rin is being kept captive by one of the 7 spirits, he also
But yeah,
thinks
he actually-
when he throws his sword. And that's it. He doesn't think. He has no brain cells.
Oh, he's a dog. I mean,
Listen,
I
I've
mean,
seen
that's
dogs
their
smarter
motto.
that act smarter than Sesshomaru. I've seen dogs much smarter than Sesshomaru.
Hey guys, I'm thinking maybe we should move on to another subject.
yeah, you're right.
That's actually a good point. Yeah.
Right, what's
yeah.
next?
Oh,
Let's do all of Japan. Let's have Ginger pop off.
All of Japan.
I already covered my topic, which was the age range of marriage for the time period.
Is there anything else you want to pop off on, though?
Yeah. You did. Yeah. Yeah, I guess
So
we did.
I would actually go into this is more of a personal belief based on things that are happening in Japan, and Zing actually was working on stuff on this too. So Zing can actually lead off of me from here. But a lot of shows and media, even for children, they are aimed for propaganda. For instance, do you think like all those military games are just, for fun? No, it is designed with an idea of mind. You want people to like the military. They make no secret. There's some games that even say like they're sponsored by the military.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
like. Yeah.
Yeah. So what
I actually kind of want to get into the subject a bunch later, but I'll just let you go.
What Yashahime is doing, it is romanticizing a child bride relationship to a child audience. Now, there's a couple things to note that are happening in Japan. Firstly, Japan has only recently, within the past 3 to 4 years, or 3 to 5 years, they have only recently joined a coalition to end child brides in Japan. The other major issue going on in Japan is people are not getting married and having children at the number they have in the past. There is a huge disparity in people, like, they just don't have time for relationships. They work all the time. So they're turning to, digital girlfriends. You can even Google that this is a trend where people take, their digital wives on a date. Some couples resorts are even, going along with this and creating like ways that they can, use augmented reality to interact with their virtual girlfriends. And I'm not just saying like a long distance girlfriend, I am meaning a complete AI.
Essentially, ultimate to the serious.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I do think that there could possibly be, and I am not saying that this is 100% certain, but it could possibly be that the idea of romanticizing these, young girls into relationships where they're having children, because let's face it, this is about twin children to a child bride. That is what Yashahime is. It could possibly be trying to implement a message that this is something desirable, that this is something that, would be socially acceptable. Now, obviously, we know that that's not socially acceptable. And again, this is just a theory, but with those social issues going on in Japan, it is a strong case for that being a possibility. And Zing actually has some more information on that, as well as regulations of trafficking and adult content in regards to, the younger age group. So Zing, if you don't mind going ahead and taking it from here.
All right, guys. So I guess I'm popping off on human psychology for a bit. Well, first, Japan in and of itself is kind of a weird thing when it comes to laws, especially like with Lolicon and a bunch of other things, because they still do not actually fall under the regulations of child trafficking and like child appearance laws. And they didn't actually ban CP, cheese pizza. I don't want to say the word, but you get my thing, up until around 2014. Like, that's when they officially banned it. So, and the whole Lolicon boom actually started way back in the 1980s, and it surfaced within anime and, manga circles. Well, like, duh. And truthfully, most people don't know where it came from. I mean, some people blame, the old book by that Russian guy. I think he's Russian. I don't remember, the Lolita book. But essentially, like, you kind of have to ask yourself, why are people making these things. Now, in the modern day context, lolis, I don't feel are as bad as they were back in the 1980s, because back in the 1980s, it was a very new concept. And you have to ask yourself, why were these grown people making depictions of childlike characters in a sexual light? You do genuinely have to ask yourself that. Nowadays, it's kind of degenerate. Right hand. Now, so lolis in and of themselves aren't necessarily bad. In fact, I'd much rather have, assume that psychology, whether it's actually good or bad. Some people agree that yes, they'd rather have them consume that, and it's good, it's better for them. Oh, my audio is cutting out.
Hello.
Hello.
We hear
Hello.
you.
We hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we hear.
Hello.
Am I
Okay.
loud? Is my volume better?
Yeah, you're loud. Yeah, your volume's better. Okay.
Hey, okay.
So it's debated by psychologists whether consuming this content either makes them worse or better. So I can't really comment. That which I highly disagree with, like calling it legitimate CP, and I feel as though that takes away from how bad CP actually is, because it directly hurts a child. CP
cutting
does
out.
hurt child, but lolis in and of itself are indirectly hurting children. Now, this might get into a more complicated subject, because fiction affects reality, just not in the way you think it does. So
Zing, your audio is still cutting
Yeah.
out. Try
Oh, bugger.
leaving the call and rejoining.
Okay.
In the meantime, I had my microphone turned down.
Okay, Zing, just start speaking gibberish and see if they can hear you okay.
Say gibberish.
Why?
Stop. You sound like a sex offender. Stop. Stop.
No.
I put down. So pop off on my
Okay, they can
whole,
hear you fine.
whole argument. Okay. So it's a as it sounds, thinking that something is just normal, it's common, so therefore we don't have to actually be worried. Sorry. In the 1800s. Yashahime specifically is targeted towards a child audience. I've seen people argue that, well, Inuyasha wasn't targeted towards. Well, that was specifically the manga, and that's just because it had breasts in it. But the am I cutting out again?
Yeah.
Way I can say. Holes of self-insertion.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes, waiting for that.
And then I'll get into it, because I feel that also plays into my thing, because I really want to do this last so everybody kind of understands this to a better point. So I'm going to mute myself and figure this.
All right.
I thought that was my fault that it was cutting out. Am I cutting out?
No, you're not.
No, you're fine.
Okay. What was said? I don't know. What were we doing? What were we doing?
We're doing the lowly hose now.
Yeah.
Lowly hose of self-insertion. That's
Insertion.
my favorite of self-insertion. Okay. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Ren, right? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
let's start with Rin.
Let's start with
Ending
this
of the outfit.
Ren that these Sessriners have made up. That's not the true Ren, because I feel like honestly, fan fiction has rotted their brains. Because
It did.
the Ren that they speak of is not the Ren that exists. That Ren doesn't exist. You have self-inserted. Yes, you are a poor pussy popper who has self-inserted. Like, that's just the short of it. You have put your own personality onto Ren. That's just it. Because what you're seeing is not there. I've seen some just the cringiest posts. They're like, well, I can see Ren being rebellious. How, when Ren has always been obedient? No, you are rebellious and you're self-inserting, right? They
Yeah.
always say that she is so
Yep.
kind. They always say that she's so kind. Like, that's just not a generic trait attributed to every woman on Inuyasha. Every woman on Inuyasha is kind, except for Inukiri.
They're kind of in their own way.
Yeah, they're kind in their own way. Most women are kind, so they're like, well, she roast jocking. Okay, everybody roast jocking.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't roast jocking? There's nothing about Ren that is unique. I am sorry, but your queen is not unique. She is not. She's actually prom queen, but she's also not very unique. She's like Toa, an unseen seasoned grain of rice. So that being
Like,
said,
apparently they took her roasting Jargon and like, oh, she's a strong, independent woman. No, she
No,
picked that up from her surroundings. Like, that's what
yes,
children do. They pick up
from
on their speeches.
there is nothing
Does
about
Jockin
Ren.
bully?
Yeah,
Does Jockin get bullied by Sesshomaru? Well, guess what Rin's gonna figure out to do? Bully
Sashomaru.
Jockin!
I mean, yeah, just bully Jockin. Like, she does nothing that is unique. So anything that you say that is unique, that's not the Ren that has existed. That's a Ren that you've made up. Too much fan fiction. Stop it. So when it comes to self-insertion, like, isn't it a thing in most shows and like animes where they always use a bland character that people can identify with, like they are just unseasoned grains of rice, and they're in the show so that bland people can identify with them. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Generally,
Yeah.
yes.
Exactly.
Generally.
Can you imagine liking Inuyasha and walking up to a person and you're like, "Oh, I love Inuyasha. What's your favorite character?" And they're like, "Oh, I like Rin." Out of all the characters, that is who you identify with. If that is the case, you have self-inserted because she is bland, or you're bland. Either one. That being said, since Rin is
Unseasoned
you not
flowers.
you, huh?
I'm saying the unseasoned flowers.
Yes, she's just unseasoned. I'm sorry. There's nothing unique about her. She does none of these things that they accuse her of doing. Like, whether she's brave, okay? Who isn't on Inuyasha? Everybody.
Or that she's a boss ass queen. Like
Yeah.
that was one of their.
Yeah, like she bosses the Shomaru around, and when she gets out of the tree, she's gonna go up to him and be like, "Oh, how dare you do that to Inuyasha and Kagome?"
Oh,
like,
man.
in
Yeah,
what world
in what
would
world-
that
what
happen?
world?
What Ren did you watch? And that's what I'm saying. What Ren did you come up with? You have self-inserted. That is just it. You self-inserted. Like, stop the fan fiction. Actually go. And that's another problem. I feel like these people have not watched the show whatsoever. They
Oh
cannot.
no, they haven't.
They
even
have
watched the
not.
show or even
They have
read the
not.
manga.
Yeah, because if you watch the show, you would know Ren, and you would know Ren is not these things that you're trying to make Ren to be.
Billy, what about remember that it was the one where she was waking up and like and at one of the centers they had edited the picture to have it where they were having that side. Before they knew that their boss ass
She's
queen was
actually a
actually
much
choking to death.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's cutting out
The audio is
for
cutting out.
everyone.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know it's on my end. Let me change over maybe to some more headphones. I think these are brand new.
Mhm.
These are Razor Kitty, and I'm very pissed that they're cutting out like that.
Mods, please let everyone know that the who's watching.
Seven now, so
Cool.
that's an interesting
Wow.
thing, which either implies that people have either removed it or using bots.
Well,
That's what I'm.
we're famous. We're famous for getting
Woo!
bots
Well, I mean,
after us.
we knew that they were botting. They did that when the reviews were getting a little too low for their comfort. They started botting extremely hard.
Yeah. They always use bots, like even for stupid polls on Twitter, like who's the best character, Moroa or Toa, and they show up with their thousands of bots.
Okay, so which topic are we on again? I don't know.
Lolly
We're going about how Rin
Yeah.
is basic.
Do you know?
Oh yeah.
Really weird, like ships with like Toya and Setsuna with much older like characters. Like I think like one of their popular ones was Setsuna and Kirinmaru.
Honestly, say that because
Self-insertion so much as preference. Like they clearly. She's a
Can
bit
I
like
also
she's a
bring
bit
up
like
another
Rin.
thing I've
Yeah, she
noticed
started
with
good, but then
fandom?
she.
Yeah.
Things have turned away from creating original OCs. People are not making OCs as much. There's a lot more reader insert.
This season.
And Blander, yeah. I mean, she's really easy. She is similar to Rin in a way, except with Rin, she's 8 years old, and you can kind of excuse the fact that she doesn't really have a defined personality.
Yeah, she's just a kid. Like
yeah, exactly. But Toa, she's like 14. It's
and she's supposed to be our lead. Like,
God, yeah.
We could have a much brighter girl. We could have a much brighter girl for that.
Well, yeah,
And a
that's
less annoying
Mora.
one.
Like
Yeah.
even the reviewers were like, we prefer Mora. The
Who doesn't?
outside of the main staff, they were saying that they preferred Mora.
Okay, guys, your audio. Guys,
Yeah.
Yeah.
guys, your audio is cutting out a lot.
So what we're gonna do is, because I have to, I think I know what it is. Let's break.
Guys,
I can barely hear Billy.
Let's
Billy
break.
is saying,
Guys.
let's take a
I
break.
can barely hear Billy. Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's break for 15 minutes so that I can see
Okay.
what's going on.
Okay.
And I think we've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes anyway. We can break for a little bit. 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Potty
Works
break.
for me.
Let me fix this audio. See what's going on. All right.
I also have my points. So
When we're going to be taking a break, we'll be back in, I want to say maybe 15 to 20 minutes just to give everybody plenty of time.
That sounds good.
Okay.
are we dropping the live stream or are we just gonna chill?
They can just
All right.
make it chill.
I think it might help if Billy drops the live stream and then we go back to live.
Yeah. I don't know.
What if we had intermission? Intermission.
I can
yoga, that
I
would
can
work.
do intermission. I'm not busy, so entertain.